Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another Raw and Smackdown review. So like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get to it. We had opened up Raw with Obafemi coming out, talking about how he's going to win King of the Ring. And then he would get interrupted by Dom. And then he would say that he shouldn't be worried about Brock Lesnar. He should be worried about Dom. Then JD McDonough would come from behind and hit him Oba with a chair. And it had no effect on Oba. He would take out JD. And then Dom would hit the 619 on him and look to hit a frog splash, but Obafemi would end up taking him out. Let me know your thoughts on this, or do you think this could be a future feud in the future? Next, we see Seth Rollins in the backstage interview. He would talk about how he's going to win King of the Ring and how he'll have a date with Roman Reigns. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we have the match between Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Chelsea Green to advance to the Queen of the Ring. This match was awesome. I actually really enjoyed it. Fast-paced action. It was a really fun match, if you ask me. Liv Morgan would end up picking up the win, rolling up Chelsea Green. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you think she should even be in this tournament. Next, we would see Chad Gable talk to Penta backstage. He would say how he wanted to apologize for what he did and how it all started with him when he lost to Penta in his debut match. Penta would say, if you really want to apologize, you know who you need to talk to. Let me know your thoughts on it. And do you think he could possibly take that Intercontinental Championship away from Penta? Next, we will see Seth Rollins backstage with Montez Ford. Montez Ford would want to congratulate him. And then they would get interrupted by the Usos and Jacob Fatu. Jey Uso would say how Seth better watch how he's talking about the family. And he would say how he's in the King of the Ring tournament and he's going to win. Seth would say he's not going to win, and he said he wasn't talking to the family, he was talking to Roman Reigns. Then Jey Uso would tell Jacob to get him, and he would look at Seth Rollins in the eyes, and then he would just walk away. Maybe he only trying to take orders from Roman Reigns. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we would see Lyra Valkyria backstage with Bayley. Bayley would give her some encouragement for her match tonight for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we see Sol Ruka versus Lyra Valkyria in this great match. I really enjoyed it for the Intercontinental Championship. I would love to see more of these two in the ring in the future. I mean, this match was really good. Sol Ruka will end up picking up the win and retaining the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Let me know your thoughts on this and if you would like to see more of these two. Next, we see the Usos asking Jacob why he didn't run a play when they called it to tell him to get Seth Rollins. He would say that the last time he checked, he didn't acknowledge Jimmy or Jay. He acknowledged Roman. Basically, that he'll only answer the Roman. And he would say how they to get their boy LA Knight because he's probably out there talking already and about him with him talking about the family. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we would see LA Knight come out to cut a promo. He would talk about Roman Reigns and his family and how he expects them to get involved in the match. On Friday, he would talk about how Adam Pearce is playing favorite and didn't talk to LA Knight the same way he talked to Roman Reigns. Then Jey Uso would come to interrupt him and he would say he was giving him a warning shot. LA Knight would get booed a couple times because he would interrupt the Yeet. Let me know your thoughts on that. And then at the end, after Jay would try and leave, LA Knight would say screw his family, and then he would take his shirt off and get ready to come and fight him. But Jimmy Uso would come and grab him and hold him back. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we see Chad Gable coming to apologize to Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. They would just accept his apology. And they would say how he now knows what Lucha Libre means. And they felt it when he took off that mask that it was real Lucha Libre. But then Rey would tell him that he might want to look a bit further because he might have did some things that he may have regretted way before he put on that mask. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we see this absolute amazing dream match between Penta and Rey Mysterio. I really enjoyed this match, and I would love to see more of these two together. It was such a good match, if you ask me. Penta would end up picking up the win, retaining the Intercontinental Championship. Then, after the match, he would help Rey Mysterio up, and then they would get attacked by Ethan Page and Rusev. they would beat them down, and then Dragon Lee would come to save them, but they would end up getting on top of Dragon Lee and throwing him to the outside and stuff. And then Rusev would unmask Rey Mysterio, and then out to save them would come Chad Gable. He's really changing, and he would attack them, and he would help the Luchadors, and he would give the mask back to Rey Mysterio. Let me know your thoughts on this. Next, we would see in the Judgment Day clubhouse, Roxanne and Liv Morgan talking. Roxanne would say that Liv was right, and she was just down about getting knocked out of the tournament, and she needs to focus on the Judgment Day and how she wants her or Raquel to win. And she would say that the best situation would be for them to face each other in the finals, and they can't lose. Then Liv Morgan would just ignore the question and talk to Dom when he came. Let me know your thoughts on that. And then they would say how the plan on Oba didn't work out. And Liv would say how she has some plans to tell him. Let me know your thoughts down below. Next, we have this match in the King of the Ring. Javon Evans versus Seth Rollins versus Ricky Saints versus Talo Tonga. And when I tell you this match was awesome, I'm telling you this match was awesome. It was really great between all four of these performers. Ricky Saints really showed out. Javon Evans really showed out. Talo Tonga even really showed out. I mean, man, this match was awesome. And I would love to see Seth Rollins versus Javon Evans in the future, and Seth Rollins versus Ricky Saints in the future. Seth Rollins would look to pick up the victory, but he would get costed the match by the Vision and Austin Theory and Braun Breaker. Montez Ford would end up attacking Austin Theory, but Braun Breaker would end up spearing Seth Rollins, and then Ricky Saints would look to go for the pin, but he would get hit with an OG cutter by Javon Evans, and Javon Evans picked up the win to advance in the King of the Ring. I really thought that it was probably going to be Seth Rollins, and then Javon Evans picked up the win, and I think he could be an actual real threat. And what if we get him versus Oba again, like we did in NXT? Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Overall, I thought Raw was a really great show this week. We had some really great matches. I'll give it like a 9 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on it. We had opened up Smackdown with Cody Rhodes arriving, talking to Nick Aldis, and apparently Gunther still hasn't told him yet, so I guess we'll just see later tonight. Then as he would walk, he would encounter the Usos, and they would say how Jay is going to win, and he's going to take that title from Cody. He's going to win King of the Ring. Cody would say that he hopes it's not Roman talking. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we would see Jade Cargill and her faction talking, and they would say how she's going to be in interviews saying how she's going to win Queen of the Ring and become 2-time Queen of the Ring. And then Charlotte Flair would basically like interrupt them, but just go out to the ring. Let me know your thoughts on that. Next, we would see Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill versus Sol Ruka versus Lyra Valkyria to win advance and Queen of the Ring. It was a pretty pretty solid match. I really enjoyed the match, and I liked the chemistry between Sol and Lyra, and I really do want to see more of that. Let me know your thoughts on this with Charlotte Flair winning the match and advancing, and do you think she wins Queen of the Ring? Next, we see the Usos backstage, and Jacob Fatu would come, and they would encounter him, and they would ask what he's doing here, and he would say he was sent by the Tribal Chief and how he's going to handle his business. And he would ask Jimmy why he's there, and Jimmy would say to make sure nobody gets involved. And Jacob is apparently here to speak with Solo. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we would see backstage Tiffany Stratton being interviewed on why she helped Charlotte. She would say that she don't like Charlotte, but she doesn't like Jade's group. And then they would come and they were trying to attack her, but Chelsea Green would come and save her basically with a kendo stick, and she would challenge them to a tag team match. I think she really wants to be involved with Tiffany Stratton. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we would see Gunther meet with Nick Aldis, and he would say that the stipulation is that he gets to pick the referee because he doesn't trust Nick's judgment. And Nick would ask who's the referee. He said he's still contemplating, and he'll let him know by the end of the night. Let me know your thoughts on that. Next, we see Finn Balor being interviewed by Kathy Kelly, and he was asked how does he feel about Friday night, and he says he feels great about this new chapter. He knows he has a lot of friends and foes. And then he would get interrupted by R-Truth, and he would say the judgment. Of course, him saying the Judgment Day is back together. And then Damian Priest would come, and they would get face to face, and Finn would leave and say he has a match to get ready for. And Damian Priest would say how they don't like Finn after what he did. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we see Fallon Henley and JC James versus the tag champs, Brie Bella and Paige. Thought the match was a pretty solid match. Of course, there were shenanigans with JC getting involved, and then she would end up getting sent to the back, but she didn't make it far enough before they would get rolled up by the tag champs. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. We would see Sammy once again talking to Candace and Johnny, and she would say how he needs to do something about it. He's going to go talk about Cody, confront Cody, or go to the ring. And Candy will say, when is Johnny going to wake up? Let me know your thoughts on that down below. And then next we will see Danhausen talking with Humberto and Angel Garza, paying him to uncurse the Spurs. And then Matt Cardona will come in and say to keep the Spurs cursed and uncurse the Knicks or whatever so they could win. And then he would get confronted by Kit and Miz, and Miz seemed to look like a mess, and Kit would get electrocuted. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we would have Sami Zayn come out to the ring to call out the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. And of course, Cody would come out and they would get in a heated discussion. Sami would ask, is Cody the problem? Because all the people that was in the ring when he finished the story has turned on him, just about all of them. And he would say he didn't because he's the last real good guy left. Then Cody would end up saying how the truth is, because Sami wanted him to be honest, that they boo Sami and that they say that Sami sucks. Then Sami Zayn would end up slapping Cody, and then Cody would slap him back. Then Sami would leave the ring. Then he would pick up a chair, and then just get on the apron, but then he would put the chair down and not do anything. Let me know your thoughts on this and where do you think this feud ends up going. Then we would see Jacob Fatu backstage talking with Solo Sikoa, saying that Roman needs him to come home. Solo would say that he's not coming home and that if Roman wants him to come home, he can come make him. Let me know your thoughts on this and if you want to see this broil over into a whole feud. Next, we see the match between Rey Fenix and Axiom for the AAA Cruiserweight Championship. This match was awesome, I think, to nobody's surprise. I think it would have been way much better in the European crowd, but overall, this match was still awesome. I think we all expected it to be. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Next, we see Gunther backstage with Nick Aldis, and he would tell Nick Aldis to make it happen, and that the special guest referee should be Sami Zayn. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we have the United States Champion, Trick Williams, and Little Yachty come out to the ring. Trick would come up basically upset about losing the match last week, but he would say that he is the leader of the new generation or of the new school. And then he would get interrupted by Ricky Saints. But before Ricky Saints could even get down to the ring, he would get interrupted by Carmelo Hayes and basically shoved aside. And they were basically arguing over who would get a shot versus Trick Williams. Trick Williams would tell him to figure it out, and then Ricky would push Carmelo into Trick, and then they would get into it, and then Trick would end up laying both of them out. And I think the play definitely has to be a triple threat. Let me know your thoughts down below. Next, we see Kathy Kelly getting ready to interview Royce Keys before Solo Sikoa will come and talk to Royce Keys about how Jacob is with the bloodline and how they're going to try and make sure that Jay wins King of the Ring. Solo would say he doesn't have to fight with him or work for him. He just don't want him caught up in the bloodline stuff. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we have the tag team match between Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green versus Misha and B-Fab. Pretty solid match. Jay Cargill will end up costing Tiffany and Chelsea the match, and after the match, Tiffany would try to attack him, but she would end up getting beat down, and it seems like Jay might be coming after the U.S. title now. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. Next, we will see Kiana talking with Kathy, talking about how she needed Julia this one time and she was useless. And then Julia would say how she come and say that she needed her for English and now her English is better. And then they would just start arguing and Julia would end up slapping her. Let me know your thoughts down below. Next, we see Finn Balor talking with Tama Tonga. He would welcome him to Smackdown and tell him good luck. Let me know your thoughts down below. Next, we see Cody Rhodes backstage with Nick Aldis saying how he doesn't think Sami should be the referee because he's like unstable mentally and physically, emotionally. Then Sami would come behind him and overhear what he said, and Cody would say they both gave each other a slap. So are they good now? Sammy would say he doesn't know. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, LA Knight was getting interviewed by Kathy Kelly, and he would say he doesn't really know what's going to happen because of the whole bloodlines out here, and they're trying to recruit Solo, and he would say that if he does win, he's going to stump Roman Reigns out. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Next, we have the Fatal 4-Way for the King of the Ring tournament. Jey Uso versus LA Knight versus Finn Balor versus Royce Keys. Thought the match was a pretty solid match. Jimmy Uso would come out, but he didn't technically get involved. Solo Sikoa got involved. He tried to help Royce Keys, but Jey Uso ended up picking up the win. I know a lot of people are not going to like this pick, but I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes. Let me know your thoughts down below. Overall, Smackdown was a pretty good show this week. I'll give it like an 8 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts down below. Till next time, like, comment, and subscribe.